In this video, I'm going to build an AI accountability dashboard to help me with my outreach. I'm going to be basing this off Alex Hormozzi's rule of 100, which essentially states that you should pick one primary action like outreach, content creation, or advertising, and do it 100 times daily for 100 days. So if it's outreach, you send 100 emails, for example, for 100 days. If it's content creation, you spend 100 minutes for 100 days. If it's advertising, you spend $100 per day for 100 days. And this repetition builds skills, understand lead generation, and ultimately grow a business. So I was like, what if we created an AI dashboard that helps track this? And not only that, it will also allow us to have the accountability part included. Now, what that looks like, how it works, and the way it will function is still yet up for discussion, I guess, with myself as I'm building this video. And I know that sounds a bit weird, I guess, but yeah, whatever. I just have the rough outline. This is what we're going to build. I'm not sure how long this video will take, but I just want to build this in public and go through the step-by-step, the reasoning behind why I would build it this way. To make this happen, I'm going to use an A10. So I'm going to create a new workflow from the very beginning. And I also have an Airtable. So this will be where all the data will be hosted. My plan is also to use the tool called bold.new because we've been using Lovable quite a lot on this channel. So I want to use bold.new and see how this will do. But that's pretty much it. So the plan, if we had to kind of scope it out, is to build a dashboard to track actions. And in our case, the actions will be, or the aims, like the top end goals, with top end goals being sending 100 emails daily, spending $100 on ads, and C is creating or spending 100 minutes creating content. So we'll have this dashboard that will track these actions, with the top end goals being that. We'll also be able to insert data for the specific day. And then I also want to include actually 4 things. I want to include the ability to chat with data. So I can say, okay, tell me about my data, tell me about where I need to focus more, tell me about other important key metrics. And ideally, you can also get into accountability through an AI agent. So the system will also have the ability to send us, let's say, send us a daily email with what's going well over the last 7 days. And this obviously can be an arbitrary number, plus ideas for what to focus on today. So not only do we able to have the ability to chat with the data, we'll also be able to get accountability that will tell us, okay, today or over the last 7 days, you've kind of been slacking when it comes to sending emails. Or, I don't know, you spent too much time on this, but not much on that. And then it will give us suggestions for what to do on this specific date. So yeah, that's the plan with this. Let's get right into building this and then we'll see how it goes. So the way I see this is that we need to start from the end. And I think the end in this case will be the database. So let's just have a think about this. What is important is we'll need to, since we're tracking these 3 things, we'll need to have some sort of tracker that decides whether we're tracking the emails, the ads, or the content. So these will be 3 key pieces of data. So no, I can't bold that. So let's just put a line. So we have emails, we have ads, and we have content, because those will be keywords in our system. We also need to track for the specific days. So that is also super important. Dashboard. Okay. So all this will be stored, as I said, in Airtable. So let's just start with that. So we'll have the created time. So this will be super key. We'll have the action type, which will be a single select. And again, let's call that action type. And this will be either email, ad, or content. So email, ad, content. So this will allow us to track the actions. let's say we have the, I don't really like using name as the primary field. So let's just add another field here. Let's call this the record ID, which will be a formula. Oops, not created, equals record ID. And I mean, I liked having the name there, but let's have the name there. But let's also have a long text, which is a description. One thing I'm thinking of or about is, what about the ability to update? Do we want to have that? Because if so, we'll need to think about how to best do this. But no, let's start with just creation right here rather than updating as well. Eventually we can also have that, but what is important here is that we get a dashboard that will allow us to visualize the data correctly. So let's just try that. Yeah, let's just get going with some sample data here. So let's say that here these were created on this day. The issue with this is this can't be changed because this is fixed and based on offer tables thing. So maybe thinking long term, let's not use that and use the, I don't know, let's use a date field there, and let's call that the date. We can include the time. We don't need to display time zone. No. So let's just hide the created or just delete it. And now this will be variable. So we can also move things around if we wanted to have the update in the future. What else do we need? Let's just call this the outreach tracker. And let's call these the actions because we might need to have additional data and tables. So, yep, based on that, let's just generate some sample data. I'm going to go to Claude and let's just say I'm building this. Give me some sample data for 3 different days. Let's see what we get. So we have some data to play around with. Now the issue is that this is giving us the information in JSON format, which is going to be tough if we want to import this into our table. So let's just stop this and say, please output the text as plain, or rather, please output as plain text. But I think this is pretty clear here. Okay, so here we got that, we got that, we got that. Great. Okay, here it's giving us the percentage of goal as well, which might be something to consider as well. Sample hourly breakdown for day 1. Okay, I mean, let's just keep it simple. And let's just have this here. Let's just have the database. Close this. And let's just say email sent. Actually, we just want a quick description of the day. Maybe, I mean, what is important here is the number as well, right? The 100. So I think we need to have the name, the description. Let's also have a number, which is super important. Number, it can also have maybe a percentage, which can be a percentage. If I use this though. Yeah, maybe we can have this be a percentage of 100. Yeah, I like that. So we can have yeah, I like that. So this can be like, if we have, I don't know, 20 here, this would be 20%, obviously, right? So here, if we're doing emails and we're sending 20 emails out of 100, this is 20%. Yep, I like that. If we spent, I don't know, $66, that would be, I mean, do we need that since this is out of 100? Not really. Yeah, let's just go with number only. So delete this. And let's start building with this. So here what I just need is can you give me a description for each of the line items for day 1, 2, and 3? You can also delete the 3-day summary part. All right, sweet. So here this can be email sent at spend. I mean, this can technically be pretty much anything since this will be email. I don't know if you even need this. Yeah, we don't. So let's just put that in there. The number here is 87. Yeah, let's do this. Boom. 75.50. And here I think we need a decimal place. Yeah. 2 decimal places. Not 7550, 7550. Cool. And this is ad spend. And let's do content creation. So here I'm going to put 1 to 5. And this is all about content. So we just need to create 6 other records for 2 additional days. So day 2. Let's put that there. Let's put that there. Let's put that there. And then we'll choose the tags afterwards. And again, the idea here is that at the end of each day, we're tracking what we're doing, because what gets tracked gets measured essentially. So we just want to ensure that we're tracking things successfully. 110.8. Here we have 94. Here we have 95. Here we have 98.25. And here we have 112. We choose these. So email, ad, and content. And same thing here. And let's say this is, we're tracking 21st, 22nd, and, or let's do it up until yesterday. So 27th. This is the 28th. And this is the day before today, so 29th. Cool. So I think we have some data to play around with right here. Now, the next thing is let's go to Bolt and let's give it a prompt so we see what this is able to create. So I'm going to say I'm creating an accountability dashboard that will allow me to grab data from Airtable and display it in a visual way that allows the users to understand what is happening. Your job is to get the data from Airtable, and I'll give you the information about this below, and display this. The aim is to display how much, or the percentage out of 100 in terms of the actions that we've been doing for the days available in Airtable. Let's focus on the last 7 days, and I want the ability to look at the information on a day-to-day basis, with the first thing that comes up being the data from yesterday. And also let's have a way to sum up to actually have the sum and the average of each individual action. And by individual actions, I mean sending emails, or spending money on ads, or doing email outreach, because these are the 3 keys in our dashboard where we're doing 100 actions of something each and every day. So that's the first thing. One thing I want to do is figure out a way if we can share this to web. So I think if we copy this, I'm not quite sure though, if I open this up in incognito. Yeah, we got this right here. Now this will be able to read the data, right? But at this stage, it won't be able to write to it. So eventually we might need to do something different, but let's see if this is able to grab the data. Here is the Airtable URL to grab the data from. So let's paste it in there and let's see what happens. Let's run this. In the meantime, let's think about the automations that we want to create. So here, in a second, this will build a dashboard to track that, Great, insert data for the specific day. So yeah, here we said insert data for the specific day. I mean, that's fine, because we will insert the data through an A10, so that is fine. So essentially we have 3 keys, right? We have the Bolt dashboard, we have the database or table, and we have an A10. At the moment, what I'm doing, or what I've attempted to do so far, is I connected Bolt to Airtable. Next, we'll connect Bolt to an A10. And then, once that happens, any changes we make to Airtable, or rather, any changes we make in Bolt, will be sent to an A10, which has a connection to our Airtable. So anything displayed here will be reflected from here, which is updated through this. So that should work just fine. So we're inserting data through the automation done in an A10, which in a way can be great. So because we can also have different functions and formulas included or updated in Airtable through n8n. So I think that's the plan right there. So this is still creating stuff. And yeah, let's think about this. So the first thing I want to do is be able to insert data for the day. And maybe we can do this through a chat sort of interface. And yeah, I like that. So let's have sort of like a WhatsApp chat interface that will allow us to add information for today directly in our table. Again, what is important here is to remember that we're not able to... No, actually we can do the updates as well. Yeah, let's just focus on insertion at the beginning, and then we can also look at updating. Here, okay, we got a dashboard, which I think isn't really grabbing the data. Yeah, so here it's not able to grab the data from our table. So we'll need to provide it with our token, with the API key, with the table name, and with the record. So that is fine. No problem. And yep. So let's just do that. And let's add the ability to insert data to n8n as well. So here is the information for connecting to Airtable, and here we'll need to provide Airtable token, Airtable base ID, and Airtable table. So this is all information we'll need to provide in a second. Let's also add the ability to connect via webhook through a chat, like a WhatsApp style chat interface. Let's have a button in the bottom right that allows the user to interact with our web app. To start, let's have the ability to add data for today. So when the user sends information through this chat interface to n8n using the following webhook, just send the data in the following format. And let's just, oops, I hit the enter button just before. Okay, this is updating something which I didn't really want it to do, but that's fine. Just checking my credits here. Yeah, 3 million monthly tokens. That should regenerate today. Okay, so that's fine. So in the meantime, let's go to Airtable. I'm going to create a token. So airtable.com/create/tokens. And over here, you just hit create token. So I'm just going to say this is accountability or outreach accountability dashboard. I'm going to give it the scope. So we have read, we have write, we have comment reads, which I mean are not really necessary, I would say, but let's just ensure we're covering our bases. And here I'm just going to add the base, which is the outreach tracker. So here I'll just choose outreach tracker right there. I'm going to create a token, and I'm going to save that off screen for now. The next thing I'm going to do is go to Airtable Web API, and if you Google this, you'll get this right here. So at airtable.com developers introduction, you get access to your complete information when it comes to all the databases that you have. And once you find your database, you'll have the ID of the base right here. And then you also have the tables right here. In my case, I have the actions table. So if I click on that, I get the ID for this table. And what I'm interested in is the list records right here, because this will be how Bolt will be able to make a request and the sort of response it can be expected to get. So this is the information I need to provide to Bolt. So here, let's go back to the introduction. Let's say this is the ID of the base. So I'm just going to copy this. Cool. And this is the actions table. The ID for, so what I'm doing here is essentially, and I'll delete this after, but this is the Airtable token. This is the database ID, and this is the table ID. So this is all information Bolt will need. We also need the list record. So what I like doing is just copy that so that it will know how to make a request and what response it should expect. This is how to make the right request and the response to expect. So copy this, go back to Bolt. I mean, yeah, here we got an error. So let's just paste that in there. And let's also go to n8n, just type in webhook And let's create a, I mean, we can, yeah, let's just create a test webhook for now. Copy this. Potentially, this will need to be a post request. So let's just copy this and go back to Bolt. Paste this in here and just say a Nathan webhook is that. Hit enter. And let's see what happens next. In the meantime, if we think about this here, what we want is that we'll get some data right here, and we want to insert it into our Airtable. So once we get some data, we can play around with this. But for now, let's just connect Airtable. We're going to create a record, and our table is called Outreach Tracker. So let's choose that. Nothing found. Okay, choose the right credential. Type in Outreach. The table was called Actions. That's fine. And now we have the description, the number, the action type, and the date. So what I'm thinking potentially is that either we need to get this in the exact right format, which we can, or we can leave it to an AI agent to come up with the exact format, which can also be a potential way of doing it. But let's see what Bolt will be sending here. So here we're getting an error right there. Okay, currently showing more data. This is still doing its thing right here. We got the WhatsApp style, which I realize I'm covering. So we got the WhatsApp style chat right there. So we'll test this in a second. And let me just put myself over here for now. Okay, so I think this is, yesterday, 7:29. So it's pulling the right data right there. July 27th, Sunday. Monday, July 28th, yesterday, July 29th. That's great. 94%, 102%, and 96. Cool. Total emails, we send those. Total ad actions. Okay, cool. Average is 97.3. Great. Data performance for email sending, 94, 110, and all that. Okay, so this seems to be doing just fine there. And we also get the last refresh date. Cool. So let's open this up. And here it's saying I can help you add today's auto accountability data. Just tell me your numbers for emails, ad actions, and content creation. Cool. Okay. So today I sent just 30 emails. I spent only $20 and I created 200 minutes of content. So let's send this. And here we got an error. But the question is, did we get some data right here? So first of all, we need to execute this. And this is now listening for incoming data. So let's go back here. And let's try this once more. Hit enter. Saving data. Okay, not sure what happened there. Did the data go to? Yes, it did go to N810. So here, nice. So this also seems to have emails 30, ad spent 20, email outreach 200. Perfect. Which also means that we can create our information, right? So we can add the, now the way we've done it is we have separate columns in our table, right? We're not, yeah. Edit via chat. Okay, cool. All right. So this is adding it directly. Nice. Okay, perfect. Since we gave it the token. Nice. Okay. The only thing I don't like is the description there. All right. Interesting. So this is establishing the connection right there, which is fine. We can use N810 just for the accountability part. So we have an agent that is connected there. Interesting. Okay, so this is doing its thing right there. So what if we say, okay, let's just delete these three. And let's just give it a description when we come to Bolt. So let's just like expand on the notes and say, for emails, it was not a very successful day. Same with ads, because I feel that I'm getting a very high click-through rate, or not click-through rate, cost per click. And for content, I'm really loving how I've gotten into the flow and creating content easily. Okay, so here there was an error. Interesting. Okay, so there was an error there. So does that mean that no data was added in our table? No, actually, yeah. No, data was added, yeah. With all the 9 from before. Okay, interesting. So does that mean that we need to have this running? But I think we're creating information, connecting it directly to our table. But let's try this once more. So we run the webhook, paste that in there, hit enter. And I don't think we got any errors there. So, okay, it's just adding via chat interface. Yeah. So what I don't like is that it doesn't seem to have the, like it has the ability to include that data right there, but it's not able to obviously understand the description and tweak it as we want it to. So what I want to do is just make a tweak right here. So here I'm just going to say, this is cool. What I want you to do is to not create information directly in our table. Your connection to our table should only be to read the data from it when the user refreshes or loads the web app. When the user uses the chat function to add data, that data should only be sent to NA10. And this data should also have the tag to add. In the next message, I'll tell you about another function that will be called accountability, where you should also send the tag along with the user message and then wait for a message response from the webhook. Also, one other thing to add for creating new data is that wait for a response from the webhook and then deliver whether it was successfully added or not based on the response. So let's see. Okay, I'll update the system to only read from our table and send all the data to an A10 webhook, including waiting for a response and handling the accountability function. Great. So here we should be able to get some more information. And then once we get the information from the webhook, we should be able to use a switch so that we can decide whether we're dealing with the accountability route or whether we're dealing with the add data route or whatever we will call it. So here we'll have two accountability routes, or two possible routes, I should say. So here this should be add data, and the other is about accountability. All right, sweet. Let's see what Bolt is doing here, and we'll keep going with this. So here this is reading the information. That's great. What I want to do is just ensure that this is working as expected. So if I update something in our table and I refresh this, let's say that we go back here, and over here on the 27th, we change the emails from 87 to 21. So here, this should decrease, the total should decrease. And let's see if that, I think I refreshed the whole thing. Yeah, let's refresh that. Okay, so here's 21. That's great. And yeah, that seems to have gone down as well. So ad spend 75, 1 to 5. Yep, that's fine. This went down as well. Daily performance. I mean, this should potentially show yesterday. I think that is what I mentioned. Okay, now we can click on each individual one. Yep. And it displays the information of that specific date, which is fine. Overall daily progress. Okay, cool. And this is 74 since that decreased right there. Okay, that's great. So Bolt is also doing a bunch of calculations for us as well, which is great. So we don't have to do that manually in Airtable. If we look here, let's execute this workflow. So this is now listening again. And let's try the chat functionality right here. And let's input the same thing as we did earlier. So I think it was this one. Send enter. Here saying workflow was started. Okay, fine. So I think that was sent over right here. Cool. And now let's see the information we got to NA10. So here we have the tag, which is add. Great. So here, just want to say that if the tag is add, that is the route we want to take. And then we will try the accountability in a second. But for now, let's build out the add route. So here what I'm thinking is that let's use an AI agent. So it will be able to come up with the description, come up with the numbers or adapt the numbers as needed. So here, let's have an AI agent. Let's connect that to a chat model. Let's go with OpenAI. Yeah, 4.1 mini should be fine. And let's give this a prompt. I'm going to go to system message and let's just say you're a helpful assistant that takes in user information when it comes to adding daily tasks performed for 3 specific outcomes. The first outcome is sending cold outreach emails. The second outcome is creating content. The third outcome is all about spending money on paid advertising. The user will also send a description attached to each of these outcomes. Your job is to use the Airtable tool in order to create the information in the right fields for today's date. Today's date is, and let's just use the expression $, or curly bracket $sign now. So this will pass along today's date, which is that right there. Now, for this, we just need to pass along the information from the webhook. So here, we'll need to execute that. Actually, let's just execute this. So the information should pass through here, and now this should have access to the webhook information. So here, we get all these. So we get emails, we get ad spend. You know what? This is not sending the actual. Yeah, this shouldn't be sending this like in individual pieces. Let's just get it to send everything the user shares as a piece of text. Okay. So let's copy this. Let's go back here. Let's paste this, and let's say this is working fine, but let's update the way you send information to the webhook. For the tag add, let's just send, that we don't need, the date. Let's just send whole user message. And timestamp, we don't really need that because it is still sending the wrong timestamp anyway. It's not the 27th of January. For accountability, let's send tag equals accountability, the message, and let's call this whole user message as well. And let's remove the timestamp as well. So I think that should be fine. Yep, and keep it simple as well. So all that will change is the tag, and then we'll send the whole user message right there. So I'm going to copy that tag, and I'm going to copy that tag. Hit enter, go back to NA10, and I'm going to update the second variable right here, so it's not called account. Actually, it is accountability, so that's fine. So I'll just copy that, paste it in there, and in a second, we'll be able to see whether this will work. In the meantime, we can't use this creator record because this is a standalone node. So let's go to tools, go to Airtable, let's go to resource being create, connect to the right Airtable, which was called outreach tracker. Choose the actions table, and let's just leave this to the AI to define. So actions type, this is email or ad or content. So here, let's go to from AI, because for some reason there is not the magic let the AI choose button. So from AI, let's just say action type. And I think here we can add a description as well. This should be either, what do we have? Email, ad, or content. Go copy that, paste that, and email or ad or content. I think that should be pretty self-explanatory, and that is for the AI to send as well. Cool. So this will be called create record. Let's copy this. Let's go back here and let's update the system prompt to say your job is to use the Airtable, let's say the create record tool, to create information in the right fields for today's date. And then we're sending today's date right there. Save this, execute the workflow. Let's go back to Bolt, who's now saying should be fine. And let's send the same information to our Airtable. Yeah. Did I trash that? Yeah, I might have. Okay. Cool. So let's try this once more. So today I sent only 5 emails because it was a horrible day. And I got disheartened by the cold email bad response I was getting. I only created 50 minutes of content because I was having sort of writer's block for content creation. And what I did right was for ad spend, I'm getting a low cost per click on my ads. So I spent $205 on my ads. So that's the message there. Let's hit enter and let's see what happens. I mean, this is still saying I found this. So this potentially will remove if, I mean, maybe it doesn't affect anything, but let's see. Here it's saying workflow was started. So one thing we might want to do is also send a response right here at the end. But let's see if that information was added here. And here, no, it didn't seem to add that. So it hit this, but for some reason it didn't hit the create record. Okay, cool. So this we just need to update since we updated what gets sent from the user. So let's update this whole user message right here. And over here, let's add a response, not a get response. Let's add a webhook response, which will be, let's just have success here. And here, let's just change this to respond to the webhook node. So let's try this once more, execute workflow, go back here, and I'm going to paste that in there. Okay, great. That tried to execute, but for some reason ran into some errors. So potentially this is going to crash. Yeah, JSON is not valid. Okay, fine. So let's see what happened right here. Request is invalid or could not be processed. So let's see what happened. If we go to agent, let's go to logs. Request is invalid. Why is that? And we send the right thing there. I see. Okay. So first of all, this only tried to create one record. Send cold emails. Send cold outreach emails despite tough day and low response. Number is 5. Was that what we said here? Yep, we said that thing. Action equals email. I mean, potentially the date field is causing some issues. Let's see. If we create that, can we just insert that as a string? Yeah. So maybe the string should be in that format as well. So let's try and update this and also say that we need to create a record for each action type. So let's add a rules right here. The date must be sent in this format. You must use the Airtable tool for each action type. Generally, you'll have to call this tool 3 times, but ensure you do this based on the action type sent by the user, which are email or ad or what was it? Content. Email, ad, or content. Great. So try once more. Execute, go back to Bolt, go to the chat, and let's paste this once more. Hit enter. Here we should have removed that. And let's see what happens here. So we're still running into issues right here. Could not be processed. All right. So none of them processed. I mean, this looks fine to me. Action type equals Z. This might, we might need to send this in a different format since this is a single select. Might need to be in a form of an array. Trying to remember how to do this in Airtable. So if we go to create a record and we choose action type and type in add, we type in test1, let's put in a number and let's paste in a date in that format. Does that work? No. So here I have an error with the date. And here it's saying use typecast for that. So let's execute that. Okay, and that created that step. So here we should have 2134 as an entry. So my question is, if we go back here and go to options, typecast, and turn that on, will that solve our issue? Let's see. Go back here. Let's delete this. Execute the workflow. Go back to Bolt and paste in that once more. Go back here. Nice. So we got 3 entries added right here. So we got that. Awesome. Achieving a low cost per click. Created 15 minutes of content and then sent only 5 emails. That's great. If we go back to Bolt and refresh our dashboard, for some reason, this is not showing today's data. Could it be that, yeah, we said just display? Okay, I mean, that's an issue right here because for some reason it's inserting today's data as the 28th rather than the 30th. Yeah, so I think it went to 28, 5 emails. I mean, on the 28th, now there should be 1, 1, 2, and 5. But I think it's also only grabbing the last pieces of information. Okay, so we just need to investigate why this is sending the wrong date right there. So go back here. And I mean, this is saying today's date is that. So my question is, let's put in month, day, why. So this should hopefully grab the information from that. Let's put this under the rules as well. Yeah, it should be fine. So let's save this. Let's run this once more. Let's go back to Airtable, delete those 3 rows, and let's run the what we did today once more. If we look here, this created 3 records. So the question is, yeah, for some reason this is sending the wrong date. Which is funny because now it's the 29th. If we look at logs, okay, here it's ending 7:30. So why? That's super interesting. Like, the input is that, but the output is that. Why is that? That's, I don't know. So ask ChatGPT or Claude. See if they have any insight on that. Claude. Why am I getting different dates in the output versus input in Airtable through N8N? Never ran into this issue, so I'm curious. The problem, input is this, yep, output is that. This is a classic time zone. When I temporal is likely interpreting as midnight. Okay. So I'm in Central European time. So how do I ensure that this is in the right time zone? CET, okay. When you input that, it's interpreted as that, okay. With the time zone, okay. Less ambiguous. So what I want is to provide the correct now. So how can I include the time zone when I use the now variable in JavaScript in N8N? Use to locale string. Return CET time. ISO. It's a bunch of code. Can we not use that and just say the date must be in this format? Today's date is that, and I'm in CET time zone. I don't know if that will fix it, but let's say save. Let's execute. Go back to our table. Let's stretch these 3 records. Delete. Go back here. Paste that. Hit enter. Let's see what happens here. Okay, 3 items created. We're still getting 29 here. Could it be it could be it's about her table, I guess, and the date format. Let's see what Claude said here. Simple data, date for a table, const now to local. So do we need to run this as a, can we add a tool, a code node? Yeah, code tool. Let's paste this. Okay, let's paste that in there. And over here for the date, this needs to be defined by the model. Okay, so let's say this is the time, correct time zone tool. So let's say this is the message. The date must be sent in that format before creating a newer table record. Ensure that you use the correct time zone tool in order to establish what the right time to send is now. So it will use now. Will it be able to const now equals that return now? Yeah, I'm curious if this will work. I'm not sure. Execute. Let's try this once more. Delete these 3. And this is waiting. So let's go back to Bolt. Paste in this, which I'm going to save right here, so I don't lose that. And yeah, this is not working as expected here. JavaScript is not defined. Okay, so let's go here, go to Claude. I'm getting an error with this code. I would assume that this still, yeah, didn't work right there. So delete. Remove the word JavaScript from your line 1. Did I paste that in with? Yeah, I did. Of course, it's not working. Paste. Okay, try once more. Execute. Bolt. Paste. Let's see what happens here. I mean, no errors here, so that might be a good sign. But still, here we're getting the 29th. Why? I mean, the response is the correct date. So why are we still... That's so strange. Here we're still getting that as the output. 729. Let me see if I just copy this. Copy, go to Claude, paste this. This is the code I'm running for the getting the date and then inserting it to our table, but I'm still getting the wrong date inserted. Why is that? And how do I fix it? I can see several issues. Your system message, the date must be sent, but your correct time zone returns that. The AI is getting conflicting instructions. You're using now in the system message. Okay, yeah, fair point. So we just remove the now variable here. Before creating that, let's see if that will make it less ambiguous and maybe more clear. Send. Nope, still getting that. Interesting. Okay, let's try again. Replace this part in your iMessage. Today's date is with. Okay, let's update the system prompt. Okay, that's fine. Now, what else? Upgrade your correct time zone tool description. Add the proper description. Okay. I don't know if this will move the needle, but paste that in there. I mean, this shouldn't be formatted in that day though, because our table wants it. Yeah, it wants it in a specific format. I mean, we could just get rid of all this and just have a string instead of a whole date thing, but let's see if we manage to fix this before moving on. So paste this. The only issue is that our table is expecting the date in this format. Okay, fix the JavaScript, update the system message. Okay, fine. So JavaScript. What else? Fix the system message. Okay, what else? Back to that. Okay. So paste. Okay, if that doesn't work, I'm changing that to a normal string. Bolt. Let's try that. Paste the message. I mean, here we can just remove a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I'm still getting the 29th for some reason. And I think the message we're sending here is also, yeah, it's maybe expecting JSON as well. So here we can say result success, just so we don't get an error there. But this is returning 730, which is great. And here, I mean, this should be defined by the model. For some reason, we're getting that. We could try and hard code the stuff and say, let's just add 1 day to the date. Copy. I'm still not getting this to work as expected. I'm still getting 1 day before. You have a mismatch in your tool description. Update the tool description to that. So tool description. Okay, fine. Save, execute. Again, I'm not sure if that is why it would not work, but enter. And yeah, still getting 29. So not working. And here I'm getting the error, unexpected token, iframe is not valid JSON. Which I think is something in the response as well. Oh yeah, this shouldn't be text now, it should be JSON. But this is still not working. Let me test, provide a working solution. Let me check what might be happening specifically in your case. The issue might be more subtle. Let me test the exact time zone conversion. To local string is working, but there might be a problem with how new date parses the string. Let me create a definitive fix. Okay. Let's go here. Let's update the JavaScript. Paste, save, execute. Go here. Copy, paste. Is this actually being used? I think it is, right? Fail to add data. Huh. Yeah, not working. Yeah, it is using the correct time zone tool. Very interesting. Still getting the wrong date. Let's create a debug version to see exactly what's happening. I don't think it's a JavaScript part though, because it's returning the right thing. AI agent might be ignoring the tool. Make your system message very explicit. I mean, that it is doing. Check your table field. The AI may be where assume what date is, or use the correct time zone to get that. Alternative hardcode date temporarily. Okay, let's try that. Just to identify that that is where the issue is happening. So if I go to create a record, if I go to date, let's just say, I mean, yeah, even this 7:30. So why is this 2025 7:29? So this should be 7:30 2025. Yeah, which it is right here. So why is it? That's so weird. So the issue is definitely in Airtable creation. So we'll go back to Claude, hit paste right here and say, I think the issue is definitely in the Airtable creation tool, because as you can see, we're sending the 30th of the month, but it's still, for some reason, outputting it as 29th. Why could that be? It's interpreting that as that, then converting it, okay. Send data with time recommended to include the time. Add time to our current format. Just add to our current result. Just add. What does that mean? Add. Okay, I mean, let's try that. Plus 12 hours. I'm not sure what. Correct time zone. Hit paste. Okay, let's execute. Let's go back here. Open the chat. Paste that. Go back here. Not here, but here. Jeez, we're still getting that. So curious, because I pretty sure table's in the right time zone. I go to display time zone. Save GMT. Yep. So that's fine. And if I mean, it could also be as simple as, yeah, let's keep it simple. And instead of date, let's put created time. It's not a big issue. I mean, I'm not going to be changing these. Yeah, we could have created time, we could have modified time, and then, yeah, let's do that. So, yeah, let's include the time. Let's have the modified time. So Bolt can read from this issue. I mean, it's not worth it keeping going over and over. We're to spend too much time on this, trying to figure it out. But yeah, let's just use this. So now let's change. So let's go to our table. let's refresh this. Let's go to Bolt. I'm going to copy this. And let's just say I've made a change. And now instead of using the date, I'm using a created time that I want you to, actually I want to use the modified time in order to get to know which date we are getting information from. Can you make the change? Here's the request and response format. I'll just paste that in there. So this is interesting, I know how it went to 23rd. Yeah, potentially because we just removed everything and it's not yet updated here. Okay, errors, updated. Let's see. Attempt fix. And I think, yeah, this would be a much easier way of getting things working. So this will be just created, and then if we modify it, we'll take care of that. Which also means that if we go here, we can trash this thing. We can update that. Created time we can remove. Last modified will be removed because that is all done automatically by our table. So go back to Bolt. Okay. Here we're getting invalid data now. Invalid date. Okay, why? If we refresh this, yeah, we're still getting invalid date. Why am I getting invalid date in my dashboard? Invalid date on my dashboard. It's trying to split a date that might be undefined or in an unexpected format. Let me fix. I mean, yeah, let's use last modified as we said. However, we're still getting invalid date here. Let's go back here. Okay, yeah. The problem is that last, yeah, we're getting everything on the same date. Yeah, so now we're running into the issue that we had before. That we can't really, can't really have data from past days, right? Because this will be when we actually created our last modified. So this would need to get added over different days. We can't really override the created time. Yeah, so date would have been the ideal. Yeah, I'm getting a bunch of errors here. You know what? Let's just use a string or a single select, and let's just call it date. And let's just keep this simple. So here, let's just have this be not a single select, a single line text. And let's say this was created on the, well, it was 26/7/2025. Then we had 27/7/2025. So copy, paste. We had 28/7/2025. And today is the 30th. So this could also have started from the 27th. And then we have 29th instead of 28 here. So copy, paste, and then this will be today's stuff. So let's refresh this once more. Go back to here. Let's go to list records, copy this, and let's make another change in Bolt. Let's make another change so we ensure this works smoothly. Let's use a single line for the date. This is how to make a request and the response you will get. Please update. So you grab the information based on this new date field. Paste. And I also need to update my workflow here. So this, let's refresh. And now we have the date field right here. Let's leave this to the agent. And for the description, let's say this will be in this format. So this will be today's date in this format. If I zoom in here, we have the dd-month-year. Now, if I go to the AI agent, let's see if we need to update something here. Date must be sent in this format. Today's date is $sign now. Cool. Save, run, go back to Bolt. Here we're getting invalid date again, but I think the only issue is that, because here's 21, 75, and 1 to 5. 21, 75, 1 to 5. 94, 110, 78. Yep. So this is working as expected, just we're getting invalid date displayed here. So everything is being displayed as expected, but the date is not being shown as correctly. Cool. If we click on the different days, these are moving along just fine. It's just that this label right here is not correct. Yeah, this should have been something that was easily resolvable, I guess, but... And I'm pretty sure there's an easy solution with that date variable, but let's see. Let's attempt to fix this. In the meantime, if we go back to this, we need to fix the information getting sent to the user through this. And we also need to consider accountability. So I think what we want to do in that case is, first of all, let's tidy this up. And if we go down the route of accountability, what I want to do is go to, first of all, Airtable. We grab all the records, and then we get the AI to analyze it based on the user message. I think that works just fine. So let's go to AI. Let's go to AI agent. And let's just define that below. Let's choose a system message that says you are a helpful assistant, that takes as input a bunch of data about the user's input over the last several days when it comes to sending cold emails, doing paid ads, and creating content. Your job is to give the user practical accountability advice based on these numbers. Just FYI, the user is trying to do 100 of these outreaches and content creation in terms of minutes and paid ads in terms of dollars spent every single day. So analyze the data provided from the database along with the user message, which will tell you about things that he wants to focus on, and give the user concrete advice to focus on over the next few days. So that's that. And here in a second, we'll get the data from the user, but we also need to, actually, we need to use the tool from of Airtable where we're searching for the right data. So here, I'm just going to say, okay, your job. This is the flow to follow. Number one, grab all the user data from using the Airtable tool attached. Using the, let's call it get user data tool attached. And then consider what the user has asked about in terms of this data. And then let's say provide the right actionable output. I think that makes sense. So if we zoom out, let's connect our table. In this case, it would be a search. So let's choose credential, let's choose search, let's choose whatever we called it, which is outreach tracker. From the actions, and here, I mean, we can choose pretty much anything. What I want to do is just not return all. Let's return, I don't know, return 10 pieces of data, and let's sort them based on the date. Actually, let's go back here. Let's not here. Let's get back the last modified. So let's add the last modified column, last modified time. So we'll use that as the last 10 records to get. And over time, obviously, this will add up with the right dates. We can also use the date, I guess, but we can go from large to small. I don't know if that Um, like here we sort by date, and we do A to Z. Yeah, yeah. I mean, potentially that could also work as well. So let's try that. Let's sort by date and ascending. And just as a test, can we just test this with? No, we can't. Anyway, I think that should work. So let's just shift this back to 10. Let's give this a brain. So let's choose OpenAI. And we just need to give this some user information. So here, let's just execute that. Let's see what Bolt is doing in the meantime. So we don't get an error. Okay, great. We get the timestamps correct right here. And let's now just say, what can I do to improve my email sending cadence? I'm having trouble connecting. Okay. Did I not run that? I mean, yeah, we have an error with that because we haven't given it the user input, which we can't unless we get the data from the webhook. So I'll just deactivate that, connect once more, execute. So now this is listening. And let's just send the information once more. So what can I do to improve that? And here we go down the accountability route, which is great. So we activate this once more. Let's go back here and just paste in the whole message there. And let's say this is the user message. Hit enter. I think it should be fine. Let's also add a respond to webhook right here. And here I'm just going to respond with the first incoming item. First input JSON item. All incoming items. Let's choose that. So, Bolt, what can I do to improve email sending cadence? Let's see if we get a good answer right here. I'm here to help you. What specific challenges are you facing? So there's something that didn't work quite as expected. Okay. So I think we need to send I'm not sure if first would refer to this. Potentially it would, rather than all. So let's go try this once more. Having trouble connecting. That might have been off. So try once more, paste. Okay, thinking, getting all records. Okay, for some reason it only got 2 items there. So that we'll need to check out, but so here it's not sending. Okay, let's just send that. The output rider. And why did this just get 2 items? No, actually it got multiple items. Were they about? So what we could do, I guess, is also have this be about what the user is asking. So we could also have a formula right here that only would get things about ads or emails or content creation if we wanted to get more dialed in with what we give the agent. But let's try this once more. Hit enter. I'm having trouble connecting. So let's just ensure that Bolt knows what it's supposed to be expecting. So for some reason, when I'm trying to get webhook information back, I'm getting an error. This is what an A10 will be returning. It's looking for a message field. Okay, yeah, that's probably why. So try once more. Execute. hit enter. That's doing its thing there. Did we get... Let's attempt to fix that. Trying to resolve the problem. It's returning HTML instead of JSON. It's not returning that, no. Confirmation that the webhook is active and configured. So, do I still get an error here? Yeah. So let's go to Bolt and say, this is what N8N is trying to return. The issue is that the current code expects a message or an output field, but N8N is returning the output directly as the response body. Let me fix the response. Okay, I've changed that, so now it should work according to this. So let's put this to the test. Execute, go back here, chat, paste that in there. This is working as expected here. And let's see if we get something that makes sense here. Yep. Kind of, I guess. But why are we getting all that? I guess this is why it was saying it's sending HTML, but I don't know why that is, because we're just sending the output right here. So let's just say N8N only returned the message, but the output returned in this chat window is the following. Can we just have the actual thing that N8N sends only? And for some reason, it's always A10 or something along those lines. It's being wrapped in an iframe. It's treating the text as HTML. Let me fix to just display the raw text. Yep. Yes, please. This should display the raw text message. Let's see. So execute. Same message. What can I do to improve my email sending cadence? Okay, let's see. Jesus, yeah, we're still getting the iframe code. What if we just send... I mean, we are just sending that directly. What if we just send it as JSON instead? So let's say it should be output, and then we send that in a JSON body. So now it's output, and what we just need to do is remove those quotes, and let's stringify this whole thing. Dot to JSON string. Let's try this. Maybe this will work. Boom. Let's try again. Hit enter. That is running. Okay, sweet. And we got that correctly. So maintain a steady pace, like on the 28th of July, you sent 112 emails with a steady pace throughout the day, including the evening. Interesting. Where did that come from? On the 28th. You send 112. Maintain steady pace throughout work hours and push through evening. Great. Yes, so that's getting the information there. Aim to replicate this rhythm. Great. By breaking your emails into smaller chunks. Avoid burnout. You get 94 emails, but noted running out of quality prospects by the evening. Okay, so this is giving us like some good information. What we could also do, I guess, is if we wanted, have a module here that would allow this to be sent directly to our inbox. So we have a record of accountability as well. But yes, that's pretty much it in terms of what we need to do. So we have one route, which is about adding information. The other is about accountability, and then we can keep building on top of this with whatever we want, whether it's editing, whether it's pretty much anything that we want to do with this sort of dashboard. If we preview this, so if I open this up, with Bolt, we can immediately publish online through something called Netlify, and then obviously this dashboard can be seen from anywhere, mobile phone, computer, and all that. Last 7 days, we get that, average daily completion. You can browse through the different days and then have an expanded view of those days right there. So yeah, that's pretty much what we set out to build. If we look back at this, we added the ability to chat with the data, and we also added the ability to have accountability through the AI agent. So send us a daily email, which we could add, which was going well over the last 7 days, plus what to focus on today. Great. So it could be either focus on today or essentially based on the user message as well. So like this, everything is connected together. So Bolt is connected to NA10. NA10 is connected to Airtable. And obviously Airtable is connected to Bolt as well. So yeah, hope you found this useful. If you want to learn more, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe so you don't miss future videos. And if you want to keep learning about AI and automation, check out the video that I'm going to leave right here.